welcome back to Keeping It Sassy. Today we are talking about finances. So we have a lot of people that we know who are looking to buy homes, get into the housing market. So we thought we would share some advice on, buying a home or renting. What's better for you? And if you do decide to buy a home, what options do you have and what's the best way to go about doing it? So I did some research online because, from personal experiences, I can give some information, but I thought it would be better if I got some actual facts.
That's a good idea.
So first, renters. Should you buy or shouldn't you buy? So if you're
buy,
not necessarily. If you can afford to buy. And it's not always a good idea to buy depending on what city you live in too. So some cities, because the cost of buying a home is so high and the houses won't necessarily appreciate in value over time, it doesn't make sense to buy. You shouldn't get into the housing market, you should try and rent. And sometimes renting a house works out cheaper than buying a home.
it doesn't belong to you.
It doesn't belong to you, but financially speaking, you can save more money and put aside a larger down payment if you're renting in some cases than going out and buying a home and then not having any money to do anything. And then you become what we call house poor. You don't want to be house poor.
Okay, so you're not saying never purchase a house, just at this
It has to be the right time.
It has to be the right time and the right place.
Okay.
Yeah. And you have to be financially secure enough that you can afford it. So RBC has some really great calculators online that you can use. They have a rent versus buy calculator where you can put in what you're currently paying for rent, and then you pick what the interest rate would be. So they have a chart that says interest rate for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. You put the interest rate in, and then it calculates what the equivalent would be if you were to buy a home, and then you see what your monthly payments would be and whether you could afford it.
Okay, but the interest rate, does that go with your credit? Because sometimes
No.
depending on,
Not necessarily. So the law slightly changed recently, so you have to be approved at the five-year rate for your mortgage because they want to know that if the market fluctuates, that you'll still be able to afford your home.
Okay.
Whereas before they would only approve you at whatever rate you were going for.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So that's first for renting. If you decide that you are going to buy, you need to save money for a down payment because you can't buy a house without having at least 5% down.
Right.
So how do you save money? My number one tip, pay yourself first. I think that anyone can afford to do this. You figure out what your income is, then you determine what your payments are, how much are you paying in rent and your utilities and whatever other expenses that you have. And whatever money is left over, how much of that can you afford to save?
And we don't mean pay yourself first and go out and go get a manicure. We mean pay yourself first and keep the money and don't spend it.
Right. So what most people do to save money is they will do all their house stuff, pay their rent and whatever, and then whatever's left over they will try and save it. That doesn't work.
Right.
Because weeks will go by and you won't have put any money aside.
Right.
What I do is I have the bank take it automatically out of my account when I get paid. So say I get paid on the Thursday, Friday morning, the money is out of my off my paycheck and into a savings account. I don't see it, I don't feel it, it's gone, and it's slowly piling itself away in another account.
And I think a lot of people, just because you know that the money's there, you tend to go and touch the money. It's having that control
How I
of
have
not
it
being
set up
able.
on my account is I don't have access to the money through the ATM. And
Okay.
sometimes I had it set up before where I really couldn't call to see how much was there either or whatever unless I physically went to the bank. I don't like physical loans.
Yeah.
TD banks are very far and few now.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them here in the West Island.
Yeah.
I don't live in the West Island.
Yeah.
so it benefits me. So
Right.
they take it out and it's gone. I don't realize it's gone until I go to the bank.
So a good option for that is maybe a tax-free savings account.
Right.
You don't get taxed on the money that you make. It has a good interest rate on it, so you're actually making money on the money that you put in. And most of the time you don't have access to the money. You have to call and tell them to transfer it to an account that you would have access to.
Right.
So that's a really great option for people who are trying to save. And some other options for saving include, putting it into a smart account type, so something that's going to gain interest, and start today. Don't wait till a rainy day to start saving money. Start as of now, and you'll see that you'll be able, by the end of the year, save enough money, maybe not for a down payment, but if
You're halfway there.
You're halfway there. And you can save for small things. If those tricks work if you want to go on vacation. Those kind of things too.
Yeah. So how do we know if we want to buy a house or a condo?
So if you want to buy a house, house and condo is really a lifestyle choice. So condo is for someone who doesn't like to have to maintain anything. They want to be more in the city. Someone who has a condo doesn't need a lot of space, and they don't care if they have a yard.
Right.
Whereas a house is
more family, I guess.
Well, not necessarily family, but someone who wants privacy because you don't have to worry about your neighbors being all up in your business. You want to have more space. You want to have like a yard, or you like entertaining.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That for me would be the two biggest differences between someone who wants a condo versus a house.
Yeah, because they're building condos everywhere now.
They are, and that we could probably save for another episode, and I can give you some advice on the pitfalls of buying a condo.
Oh, I want to know. All right. You have to stay tuned for the next episode.
Stay tuned for part 2.
Keep
Thanks.
sassy, people.